right? So drawing the picture, there's the ramp, it's 20 feet, right? And it's off the ground 3 1/3 feet. Where is the angle of elevation? Which one of the angles should I label as an angle of elevation? Right, the angle of elevation, it's always the angle with the horizontal, right? So that angle right there will be our theta. That's an angle of elevation. If you had an angle of depression, it would be an angle, below the horizontal. So we have angle elevation. So the first step said draw the picture, and we drew the picture. Okay, use a trig function to write an equation, meaning, right, which 2 out of the 3 sides do we have? Opposite and hypotenuse. Which one of our three trig functions uses opposite and hypotenuse? Sine. So I know that it's sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. So the sine of theta, which we don't know in this case, equals 3 1/3 divided by 20. Okay, that was the second step. Third step, find the angle of elevation of the ramp, algebraically. Okay, well, this is something we haven't talked that much about. Maybe a little, but I actually was kind of putting it off a little. I thought it was going to come up only in the 7th section or something, but it really comes up before that. It comes up now. How do you solve for the angle? When the angle is inside of a trig function, how do we solve for theta? You do what? That doesn't help. How do I isolate the theta? Use sine inverse, okay? That's why we have these inverse functions. And if you look on your calculator, you've got it right above the sine. It says sine minus 1. Right above cosine is cosine minus 1, tan minus 1. Those are inverse functions. When we learned about inverses, we learned that if you take the composition of a function and its inverse, that in some cases, they cancel each other out, and the answer is x. It's a way of isolating the x. So in this case, if I take sine inverse of both sides, it'll look like this. Sine inverse of sine of x equals sine inverse of 3 1/3 over 20. Okay, on this side, the sine inverse and the sine cancel, and now you solve for x. And on the right, we still need to do sine inverse of 3 1/3 over 20, right? It's going to be in degrees, so I'll leave my mode the way it was. And just because I don't like to round off, it may look a little strange the way I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to say second sine inverse, and then I'm going to get another set of parentheses there so I can say 3 plus 1 divided by 3, and then divide that by parentheses divided by 20. And then I'll end the argument of the trig function. So 3 plus a third, that's what 3 1/3 is. And by doing it that way, I won't have any rounding errors or anything like that, or rounding off that make it not quite the same. So 9.594. Okay, so in order to solve for the angle, when that's the unknown, we use inverse functions. We'll do that a lot more in the lesson today.